Hey, what's up, you amazing hackers? Hope you're doing well today. So this video is going to be about basic Csrf, how to implement it and what it's all about, what it's in the core. As you can see before me, I have several challenges that I've created based on Csrf tokens that should be validated but aren't validated properly. But first of all, we're going to take a look at how Csrf is implemented, because I want you guys to have an understanding of what it is and what it really looks like if you look at it code-wise. Now, I'm going to look at a PHP code example, but of course, Csrf can equally be an ESPX, of course. So there's several ways you can implement this Csrf token. What I've done is I've chosen to put it on the session. So let's take a look. I'm not going to delay it any further. In this video specifically, we're going to look at 0.php. So in here, first of all, my session start. You guys know PHP. First thing you have to do is session start when you're using PHP. And then I'm going to include my instructions. That's basically just an instructions file on how to beat these challenges. And here we have our first relevant piece of code. So we see if empty session token. So if the token variable on session is empty, these are the session variables in PHP. And these are basically things that you're not going to easily get to. Something like session URI, for example, is the URI that's going to get grabbed. Or you can have a session ID, that's also possible. So this is how we set those sessions, and that's why I have to put my session start at the very beginning, of course. Now, this session token, if it's empty, I'm going to fill it up with a token. So I'm going to fill it up with a bin2 hex, as you can see here, and random 32 bytes. So it's going to take a random of 32 bytes, and it's going to make that a hexadecimal. Okay, that's going to be my token. So there's a little guessability in here. It's going to be pretty random. And then I can see if the token is not empty, the post token, that's a different token from this one. So I set my session token, I put this into a variable, and this code is already going to check if my token is set correctly. So we're going to skip over this for now, and we're going to go back right into the form that we have here. So in this form, I have a hidden input field, which has the value of my token. By the way, let me zoom in real quick so it might be a little bit easier to see. As you can see here, our value equals, and then I'm going to echo that token. Now this token is always going to equal the sessions token. And that's something that an attacker normally can't get to, that session variable named token. As an attacker, I cannot easily manipulate this. So as you can see, it's going to be grabbed here. And this is the only way to get it, by PHP, getting PHP to echo it. As you guys know, PHP server-side code. So this is going to get filled in. PHP is going to echo that token, and you guys are not going to see any of this backend processes. You're just going to see a random hexadecimal there. Now, okay, so far so good. We're generating the token, we're putting it into our forums, because that's important, of course. Not only do you need to actually get your tokens generated, you actually need to call them on every single form, and this is where it often goes wrong. Not that it gets wrong on most forums, because of course that's not where things go wrong. Most forums will have this implementation set correctly. So while I'm here, by the way, let me fix this mistake. Most forums will have this implementation set correctly, but if they're not set correctly, these implementations, these checks here, these important bits, then we're going to have a problem, because in here this should be for developers. What I'm going to give you is a few tips. This should be generalized. You should have this in one place, not like I'm doing. For each page I'm checking the Csrf token again and again and again, and I'm generating it again and again and again if it's not set on the session, by the way. So in our case it's going to keep being the same thing, but I'm doing the same thing over and over again. You're going to want to have this on a centralized place that you can just include it in your checks. So that will make things a lot easier. And from there on, you can then check your token. What we're going to do here is, first of all, check that the token that we have in our method isn't empty, and this is where an attacker will insert their token, because they don't know this one. They don't know what the value of this token should be. So attacker is going to insert their own token in here, and then it's not going to get out of this hash equals function properly, because it's going to give a false, of course. This is going to check if your session token is equal to the post token. So I need to know my victim's session token, and then I can send it to the server in this post value here, token, and when it does compare to the session token, which is only possible for a normal user in normal circumstances, this token should not leak normally. It's in the session, so it's really hard to get to again. Sorry I keep repeating this, but repetition builds confidence, in my opinion, in your matter. So then when it verifies, of course, it's going to say, okay, everything is verified here. And if not, as a developer, you should be logging that, because that means that a failed Csrf attempt has happened, which means you either have a mistake in your code or that somebody's trying to hack your service. And of course you want to be informed of that, and not only log it, but also monitor it. That's very important. If you write good logging, if nobody's there to monitor that logging, then it's useless. So what have we learned? We're going to implement a token generation system, then we're going to bind that token to the session. We're going to fill in that variable in here, and we're going to echo it in here, so in our form. Then we're going to check if that post value is not empty, and we're going to do a hash equal sign of our session token and the post token that we have taken in. Now this post token from an attacker's website will have a probably different Csrf value than what we're expecting, so it's going to fail. But if it's coming from our website, we will know this value and it's going to pass. So that's it for the implementation. Hold on, as we're going to go on to the next movie, which is going to be how this can go wrong. So thanks a lot. See you in the next one. Bye, amazing hackers.